Alright, we got the door panel laid out here. I'm going to kind of briefly touch on how this hinge piece works. I found the easiest way to do this is to just lay the door panel down and then lay out your hinge piece that you had, the 27 and 3/16 inch piece. Just lay it out next to each other. And I use this clear packing tape that we use to frame up the frame before we drilled the pilot holes. Pull me off two nice pieces of that, about 2.5 inches long each. Go ahead and open up your hinge. One thing you'll need also is a Phillips head screwdriver, a very tiny one. These screws for these hinges are very small. So what I do, I predetermine where I want my hinges at and I lay them out. What I do is I lay my hinges out, get them really squared up so that they operate correctly. And I take one of these pieces of tape and I'll just tape it down on both of these pieces. One reason why I do this is so when you're drilling the holes for the hinge, it doesn't vibrate and shift and the holes, kind of get unaligned. It does that when you're trying to drill. You can just drill straight through the tape. Alright, now that you've attached your hinge piece to the door and you've got your hinges screwed on, something that you might want to do, this Dremel tool that I mentioned earlier is optional, but one thing I do is I take and I Dremel these screws down. These hinge screws, they poke out about a 1/16 of an inch to an 1/8 of an inch on the back side, and they're kind of abrasive. They've got pointed tips. It's unlikely that your Chameleon would hurt itself, but it's probably a safe thing to go ahead and just sand those down. And also, before you put the cage on, whatever type of knob you're going to use, go ahead and drill the holes for it and go ahead and attach it. I use a handle. I like these silver handles as opposed to knobs, but you can use a knob or whatever. I've even seen people who just simply stick a sheet metal screw sticking out, but go ahead and assemble your knob on, and then we'll move on to attaching the door to the rest of the cage. Alright, we're ready to go ahead and put this door panel on. Every time I build one of these cages, for some reason I forget to mention this or forget to put it on. But you'll probably have noticed when you get done cutting all these frame pieces, you're going to have lots of little various size scrap pieces left over. This door stop that you made, the 35-inch one, it runs the entire length of the cage. And this bottom panel fits and butts up against that. But over here, use one of those little scrap pieces and just put a segment there so that this panel will have something to rest up against. That way it doesn't just fall into the cage on that side. Other than that, that's all I forgot to mention about building this cage. But place this one in, and then your door should fit right on in there. Just like that. Then just put your screws into your hinge piece over there. There you go, you've got a Chameleon cage. So I'll go ahead and assemble that door in there. But it's best to put this bottom panel in before you do so that everything lines up right. And that's about it. Alright, here it is. Here's the cage once it's assembled. I went ahead and drilled some holes and put in the little plastic turnkeys that I showed you when we did the video in the beginning with all the supplies you'll need. These basically just twist and lock the cage in. The door opens real easy. Closes against the stop. There's your locks. Really good cage. I've never had any problem with them. They're rust free. There's a lot of pros and cons to these cages. I'll go ahead with the cons so that we can end on a happy note, start with the bad stuff. And it's not really bad. One of the things about it, a lot of people say they're flimsy. I personally don't think they're flimsy. I'm not stacking things on top of these cages, so they work out good. They're not excessively flimsy, but they are to a certain degree. Other than that, I don't see any problem with them. That and one other thing is the fact that a lot of people don't find them very aesthetically pleasing. They're not pretty cages, so to speak. Some people like to build cages that are more of a furniture grade quality. This is more something for a person who has multiple animals to cage. A breeder, for example, like what you see behind me. I've got this rack built out of PVC pipe with a drain system. If I wanted to build cages for all of these animals out of wood and made them furniture grade quality, I'd have spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. This cage right here, I bought all the materials to make this cage at Home Depot and Lowe's for $75, and I have enough. I bought a 25-foot roll of screen. I have enough left to make 3 cages. So for $75 I bought enough screen and all the other materials for 3 cages. All I have to go back and buy is more of these corners if I wanted to make another cage, and more aluminum frames. The aluminum frames are about $3 each. You only need 8. That's $24. These little corners, you need 7 packs of them. It's about $7. So you'll probably spend about another $40 buying all the stuff to create another cage. So 3 cages out of this whole roll, it's not bad. If you do the math, it's a whole lot cheaper than if you buy some of these pre-assembled cages or cages that are specifically made by some of these bigger companies. I'm all about doing it yourself and saving some money. I think they work out great, so if anybody has any questions about it, PM me or send me a message to my inbox. But there you go.